Hi, guys, good evening, and welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I will be discussing my reaction to the big announcement that Ant-Man, along with several other Marvel superhero characters and other Marvel characters in general, have been confirmed to join the cast of the upcoming Marvel film Captain America Civil War, due out for next year. First off, before I begin this reaction video, I just want to warn you I will be referring to the movies Captain America the Winter Soldier and Avengers Age of Ultron and possibly numerous other Marvel films, but mostly those two big ones. So if you've not seen either film, especially Avengers Age of Ultron, do not watch or listen to this video as I will be discussing massive spoilers and key plot points and plot lines from both films. So consider yourselves warned. You have been warned. That being said, I'm really excited now. I'm really pumped for this movie. In fact, I'm a little surprised they're not already calling it Avengers 3 Civil War because there's so many other superhero characters in this film. Like, we definitely knew Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Widow and Hawkeye would definitely be appearing. But now, after a few days of Age of Ultron being out and released, they have confirmed that numerous superheroes from that movie are also returning for Civil War. Oh, and before I begin, one more thing. I will be discussing pretty big spoilers and key plot points from the graphic novel, the comic book storyline of Captain America Civil War, at least the parts that I know about it and the most important, really big parts. I could be wrong in that statement. I do know a couple of big juicy tidbits from it, but if you don't want the movie Captain America Civil War potentially ruined or spoiled for you, you may not want to listen to this, as I will be referring to comic book source material, which may or may not be translated into the MCU. Okay, with that being said, moving on. So it's going to be interesting. Basically, you know me, as I have admitted, I am not a comic book fan, but I have a lot of friends and relatives who are. And from what they have told me and from what I've read about it, I did some research on it when they first announced this movie. It's it's not just a Captain America versus Iron Man story. This is much bigger than that. This is about some superheroes are basically divided into two sides. Captain America's side, who believe that superheroes should not have to be tracked down or kept track of by the U.S. government or the world government for that matter, where there are other superheroes who feel that they should be held accountable and responsible for their actions, for whatever destruction or mayhem may follow them whenever they're trying to protect people or save lives, and they should feel that they should be held accountable and responsible. That's who Iron Man has on his team, along with several other superheroes. And in Captain America's side is the side of superheroes who say, no, I don't want the government to keep tabs on me. I may have superpowers, but I'm a private citizen. I don't answer to anybody. I'm not on Uncle Sam's payroll, or I don't work for some other foreign government or military organization. No, I'm my own citizen. I'm my own person. And that's where the title Civil War comes into play, because eventually, I believe this happens in the comic book, there's this enormous battle, especially, of course, between Iron Man and Captain America, but between other Marvel superhero characters who were once former allies, and now they're basically, I don't want to say enemies, because enemy is a strong word. I would say they're adversaries, yeah, if that sounds better. It probably doesn't, because that pretty much means the same thing as enemy, but, hopefully not too many bonds are broken, although I think we'll definitely see a drift between Captain America and Iron Man. And I was surprised that we didn't see a lot more hostility or tension between them during Age of Ultron. There was that one scene where they were discussing how Tony Stark kept the team in the dark while he and Banner were building Ultron, and Captain America, out of everyone, is especially pissed at him for not telling him or anybody else anything. And Stark tries to counter that with saying, I was doing it for the good of the team so that we can end the team. But then Captain America points out, and he's like, every time somebody tries to stop a war before it starts, innocent people die. And that kind of leaves Stark a little speechless, but, Tony Stark is never speechless for too long, of course. But I was really surprised during that whole movie that we didn't see much hostility or tension between them. We did see it, just not as much as I personally thought we were going to see. Because we saw it, we saw it towards the end of the film. They actually part on good terms, on really friendly terms. Tony Stark goes off to lead a more quiet, subtle life and to kind of take a break from the science lab after accidentally creating a killer maniacal robot that almost destroyed the world and spend more time with Pepper. And Captain America is now going to be spending time in the new Avengers training facility, training the other superhero characters who want to become the new Avengers, since the original team has now disbanded and gone their separate ways. They actually part on pretty good, friendly terms, and they smile and say, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too. Yeah. But of course, I'm sure that'll all go to hell in the opening scene or the very beginning of Captain America Civil War. So, and it's going to be interesting to see. Here are my predictions for who's going to fall on which side. Hawkeye and Black Widow, both of whom are former S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, kind of like Captain America, technically, who was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and if not an agent, the term operative would be more appropriate. I think they're going to fall on Cap's side. We're private citizens, and we may have special skills and powers, but we answer to no one. We're not going to be signing up for your stupid registration act. So I think definitely Black Widow. I'm not entirely sure how Hawkeye is going to feel, but I'm pretty sure that's the direction he'll be leaning towards. Scarlet Witch is another interesting character who will be returning in Civil War. Of whether or not she's going to fall on Cap's side or Iron Man's side. Now, it seems likely that she would fall on Captain America's side just to spite and piss off Tony Stark, whom she still blames for her parents' death. And now she can blame him for her brother's death because, spoiler alert, Quicksilver was killed by Ultron towards the end of the movie Age of Ultron. So when Scarlet Witch finds out, Scarlet Witch knew it was Ultron who killed Quicksilver, but, she already knew that Tony Stark had created him, so she'll somehow probably end up just blaming that on him anyway. So just to spite him and piss him off, she will side with Captain America. Or I could be completely wrong. Like I said, I hardly know anything about the comic book storyline for Civil War. I don't know who falls on whose side exactly, because they might change it up in the MCU. She could end up on Stark's side. I'm not sure why, but she very well could feel like, hey, you know what? Maybe you're right. We have all these powers and gifts and skill set that maybe we need to be. We need somebody to keep an eye on us to make sure we don't go rogue or threaten anybody, because we have lots of really potential super high-powered superpowers that could ultimately destroy the planet. So maybe we should have people keep tabs on us. Or she'll side with Cap, saying, no, you know what? I enjoy being a free spirit. I'm a private citizen. No, I'm not signing up. Now, other characters who are definitely confirmed to appear are Black Panther, Ant-Man, The Vision, War Machine, and Falcon. I just named those 5 because those are the actual superheroes. I'll get to the other characters in a second. But Falcon is definitely going to end up on Captain America's side. Although, now that I think about it, because I just said a few seconds ago, I am not familiar at all with the comic book storyline of Civil War. Maybe that changes or reverses. But I find it very, very highly unlikely, because Falcon seems to have this loyalty to Captain America that we saw when they first met in Captain America the Winter Soldier, and throughout that whole film their relationship just solidified and became stronger. Falcon became one of the few people Captain America could trust after the collapse of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he helped him defeat Hydra from launching their super weapons. So I'm pretty sure Falcon is going to end up on Cap's side. The Vision is another character who I'm really not sure which side he'll fall on, because we'll most likely see a developing romantic relationship between him and Scarlet Witch, because that is what happens in the comics when they both join the Avengers. They start a romantic relationship, it'll be interesting to see that if his feelings for her start to develop, if he'll join one side or the other simply because of her. If she's like, well, I don't know, I think I'm just going to go on that side, he'll be like, oh, okay, well, if the girl who I want to pork is going on that side, I'll see you guys later, bye. Or maybe not. Maybe he'll be his own man and decide, you know what, I like you, Scarlet Witch, you're really hot, I want to do you, but I'm going to go with Cap on this one instead of going to Tony Stark. However, it seems most likely to me that Vision would end up on Tony Stark's side, since Vision is technically not Jarvis entirely, but Jarvis is very, very much a part of him and had a huge part in helping bring the Vision to life. So it seems likely that Vision would fall on Tony Stark's side. However, he did stick around at the end of Age of Ultron in the New Avengers facility to be trained as one of the New Avengers. So maybe during that time, I'm not sure how much of a time gap there will be between Age of Ultron and Civil War. My best guess, they're just most likely just going to be a year or perhaps 2 years. Maybe during that time, Vision develops loyalty and commitment to Captain America because he truly believes in him and he sees what a great leader he is. So maybe he'll fall on Cap's side or maybe he'll fall on Stark's side. He's kind of torn. He's going to be torn because half of him owes his creation to Stark. The other half of him owes his new purpose in life to Captain America, training him to become a better superhero, even though he's insanely powerful. Anyway, so it'll be interesting to see which side he lands on. War Machine. War Machine is most likely, I'm pretty, 99% sure will side with Tony Stark. They have been buddies and friends since the first Iron Man film. They have always had each other's back. He's always been there for him. You know, in Iron Man 2... there was that scene at the party where Tony was out of control and War Machine, Rhodey, basically had to calm him down and stop him from going on his little drunken rampage and tirade. You know, I think Rhodey's fairly loyal to Stark. They've always been friends, and I'm pretty sure he's going to side with Stark in Civil War, which is going to really compromise his position as one of the new members of the Avengers, because he, like the other characters at the end of Age of Ultron, he ends up staying at the New Avengers training facility to be trained under the leadership of Captain America. But ultimately, I think he's going to go back to his roots when he's forced to choose sides. He's going to end up on Stark's side. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the comic book storyline. I actually don't know what happens to him or whose side he ends up on, but I say it's most likely going to be Stark and Captain America, and he'll basically abandon Captain America and the New Avengers, which is kind of sad because I was looking forward to seeing War Machine become more active with the Avengers. So those are my theories as to who is going to be on which side. That leaves several other characters to return. Winter Soldier, a.k.a. Bucky Barnes. Rumlow, the guy who got badly scarred and burned at the end of Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Who else? Oh, only one of first villains to be confirmed, Baron Zemo, who I talked about in my earlier video in one of my Nerdtastic news segments. You can find it here on my channel, where I talk about his casting. So those three have also been set to reappear. It'll be interesting to see if Bucky has regained his full consciousness by then, or if he's still the brainwashed Winter Soldier who's been wandering around aimlessly without purpose since his little group of Hydra thugs fell along with the collapse of S.H.I.E.L.D. It'll be interesting to see what he's been up to this whole time, because we don't really get much of a mention of him in Age of Ultron, except when Falcon is talking to Captain America at the party at Stark's Tower, where he says, oh, I've been busy, following, cold leads on our missing persons case, most likely referring to the Winter Soldier. So it'll be interesting to see where he's been and what he's been doing, or if he's regained any consciousness or memory of being Bucky Barnes, or if he's still in that Winter Soldier mode. And that leaves an even bigger question. Will he return as an enemy or an ally? If he's still in that Winter Soldier mode, he might be recruited by Tony Stark. Tony Stark knowing Winter Soldier's history with Captain America, he may try to recruit him and say, hey, you don't like Captain America? Neither do I. Come on, join us, join our side. And so it'll be interesting to see if he ends up joining Stark or Captain America. That is, if he's remembered who he is or not.